everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm back with another video. This is our Living and Planning Simple Abundance channel, and I figured I'd come on a little bit before the end of February and go through my March pages. This will probably be a shorter video than last month just because I'm realizing there are some things that are pretty similar each month, and then plus I don't have new stickers to show you this time, but maybe next month because I'm already seeing that I've gone through a lot of the new stickers that I got, and so I'll either get some replacements or maybe try some new things. But as you know, on this channel we talk about the Simple Abundance Principles from Sarah Ban Breathnach's book here, Simple Abundance. They are joy, harmony, beauty, order, simplicity, and gratitude. And if these are things that you're interested in watching more videos about, or if planning is your thing, I hope you'll hit the like and subscribe button so you can stay up to date with my future videos. So this is my special page for March that I designed, and it's a stock image, and then I had a designer put the month on there, and then I had a lady on Etsy go and laminate it and get it all ready for my Franklin Covey planner pages. So let me go back to the beginning of March. This is my March spread. Of course, it is like a St. Patrick's Day sort of theme with green. And if I didn't mention this before, when I did my pages in Agendio, I was able to choose certain colors for certain months. So typically I went with colors that went along with a holiday that might fall in that month. So I did pick green for March and had fun with some stickers. These are mostly Happy Planner stickers. Those are my favorite. And I mentioned last month I don't always do a ton of detail on this month view page because it's just sort of a reference for me. And then I will put different symbols and more lengthy explanations of what are actually happening on the daily views. I picked a sentence or two to be able to sort of encapsulate how Sarah describes the month of March in Simple Abundance. Looking back at a lot of the entries from March, it's a time where we're focusing on the principle of simplicity, and also the whole book is about bringing out your authenticity. So she starts to get into the topic of how are you presenting yourself to the world? What sort of things do you like? What might you be suppressing is still in there, like it was from February. So if you're following along in the book, then I'm sure you're contemplating some things, and I will be adding them here in some of the pages for my enrichment activities. So this is the statement that I came up with for March, and I'm putting it here in this block that I created in the Agendio layout. Transition and transformation are at center stage this month as we plant the seeds of simplicity and prepare to truly blossom from within. Because as we know, right, spring is coming. I didn't have a first day of spring sticker that would fit there. I actually used the one that I had on the daily view, but that is my hooray for spring because I'm definitely ready for spring. I don't know about you guys. We have daylight savings. Of course, I always use little symbols, and I use some of my new stickers with the letters on them to indicate certain things that are happening. And then, you know, arrows and stars and things also indicate stuff for my work at home that I need to be aware of. And big D's for my dad visiting. And I have regular things like rent and stuff. And there's a few birthdays. March is the biggest month of birthdays in my family. So that was my fun that I had with my March monthly view. These are, again, this side is the work and business task list, and these are all tasks for the monthly, like the whole month overall. This is my monthly home and personal list. I was surprised it was looking a bit short, but it always does get bigger as the month goes on and as I think of things. So for my enrichment for March, my first block is something to look forward to, which is so important for me. And I will say too, on a personal note, that February has been probably the busiest and a bit stressful month for me just because I had an additional project, which there literally were not enough hours in the day. And so I was having a lot of trouble with balance, and I didn't do a great job on my enrichment. So some of the things that I had on my February enrichment pages are now again here on March. So hopefully I can do them this month, when it hopefully will be a little bit more like a normal month, if there is such a thing. So I have my dad's visiting, as I mentioned. I also mentioned last month that I'd like to go visit my nephew at his college nearby, so I put that on. My sister is visiting in April, so we're making plans for that, so that's something to look forward to. And then I mentioned last month, too, that I was considering maybe trying to take a little trip to a local bed and breakfast sort of inn place in Vermont, which I just have been, February went by so fast, let's face it, but I've just been so busy that I didn't really give any thought or time to that potential planning, so I put that on again. My donation for March, this is something I do every year. I have a friend whose husband has epilepsy, and he has a scholarship fund at a local college that he does. He's also a chef, so he does a baking event where they sell cupcakes throughout the month of March. And then actually, now that COVID's over, they're going to be having the event on site again at the college. I think this is the first year since 2019 that they were able to. So I will always partake in cupcakes. So I usually purchase some. I've purchased them in the past for friends and people at work and stuff too, just as like a little way to support the scholarship. So that's my donation for March. And creative excursions, I really could have rewritten what I had for February again, because aside from, I have done a little bit of shopping, but not, it's just more like errands and stuff. I really have not been putting time towards my creative excursions, which I need to do. And I have to say, too, as somebody that is constantly working on these things and always trying to overcome some hopelessness and despair that I sometimes feel about life and my life, which is sad. But when I do overwork and I'm so super busy and I'm trying to come out of that and I'm trying to remind myself what's fun and how to sprinkle these things back in, it becomes really hard for me to remember what do I like to do when I'm not working. And so I'm kind of in that place right now. So coming up with some things for these creative excursions should be fun and not something that I'm struggling to figure out. But I did put a couple of things on there to go to the butterfly sanctuary in Western Massachusetts. And then this is very vague, but it's really necessary for me to have some non-work time where there's just some unstructured, maybe spontaneous decisions to go and, look around a shop that I like, or find a new nature trail or something like that. Something that I am actually setting aside time for, and I don't have to necessarily decide what it is in this moment, but that I'm consciously making sure that I'm not working 24 hours a day. For the order and organization, I really didn't do much of that in February either. I definitely didn't get to the storage unit, which I talked about maybe trying to do, so haven't done that, but I didn't put that on the list for this month. I put to go through some of the totes that I have under my bed. It's always a good idea to do that, because sometimes you have things under there, like I have extra bedding and stuff that I probably could donate, get rid of. So I want to go through those under the bed totes. I also want to go through the drawers in my bathroom. I keep them pretty organized, but sometimes I can't see everything that's in there, so it's kind of nice to do an inventory to just say, like, okay, I have like an extra backup box of toothpaste or whatever, so that you're not out the store thinking that you need to get something that you actually have a few of back home. So those are my things for organization. Oh, and my bedside table. I didn't list that one too. For seasonal joys, I was looking through Sarah's simple, joyful simplicities, she calls them. And some of the things she has on there are to celebrate St. Patrick's Day, like wearing green and having like a sort of traditional Irish fare and drinks and stuff. But I'm not super into that, even though I am part Irish. It's kind of funny, but I did take away from her list, though, to have a spring equinox dinner, because she did encourage us to have that, and I've done that in the past. And that's just sort of fun to sort of honor the changing of the season, because that's what I said in my statement about March. This is a transition time because we're right in between seasons. It's like winter is holding on and spring hasn't yet totally come out. It's more like an April or May thing up here in the Northeast. But March, we can still have some nice days, though, as spring is coming. I also took this from Sarah's book, too. I've never done it, but I always see it in the Simple Abundance book, and I think, I should do that. She recommends that you go outside in, late March, and you cut some branches off of trees that are about to bud, and then you can put them around your house. I was kind of thinking I'd put them, like, out on my patio. And then they'll still bud, if you keep them in water. So that's kind of like a heralding of spring activity, too, where you can watch the buds come out. I want to start thinking about my garden this year and maybe some plans for changes in the yard. Although last summer I pretty much got things to the way that I wanted to have them. So this year might be a bit more about maintenance, but I'll always pick out new annuals and things, and I'll remember like what worked best from last year and what was really thriving in the garden. And some of the things that I planted 2 years ago now, like some herbs, they're really solid, so they'll come up and they take up some nice space in one of the flower beds. So anyway, it's fun to just think about those things and maybe look online or through catalogs for ideas. So I'll be doing that. And then Sarah also recommends that in this time where you can, at the grocery store, a lot of times you can see that they have daffodils in pots or just nice spring tulips and things that are out a little bit early at the supermarket before they are out in your yard, that you can bring some of those home. So I do plan to do that, because that's always a nice feeling. And I am working on a new wreath for the door. I think I mentioned that I have one for January, and I did upgrade it a little bit for Valentine's Day, and then now I want this March one to be more of like a transitional sort of wreath. So I've made some screenshots of wreaths that I've seen online, and I have a frisky kitty playing in the background. And so I just need to go to a craft store and get some different fake leaves and things like that, because I actually already have a wreath. I got it for something like $5. It was 80% off. It's technically a Christmas one, but I just cut off the things that looked Christmassy from it. So I have, like the circle part of it, and then it has some pine cones and things on it. So it'll be good for a transitional sort of looking wreath that I can just augment. So just need to get some supplies for that. That's kind of like one of my creative projects too, but I have it in the joyfuls, the seasonal joys. And that's everything from that one. Okay, so for the music, song, and dance, I haven't totally decided, but last month I set aside that I wanted to watch a Celine Dion concert, and it was so good to actually have something like that chosen ahead of time. And as I am with my planner and being a list person, if I write something down, although I did admit that I didn't get a ton done with organization, but when I write something down to do it, then I try to do it. So when the end of the month was coming up, I thought the other day, I haven't watched that Celine Dion concert. So I actually sat down and put it on, and then I ended up watching more than one of them. So it was interesting. I watched one where she was in Vegas. It was very, kind of mind-blowing with all the dancing and colors and things in the background. Like, it was very Vegas-esque, I guess. So I'm glad that I wrote that down. So for this month, I just wrote, to choose a concert, to choose a theater production, and to choose a dance performance. All of those that are easily found virtually, or it might be something that I see coming up with a local group. What are you doing? She's got something that's exciting her. So then for laughter, play, and projects, again, the wreath on the door could go under that category too. But I love doing my puzzles when I have a chance and make time for it. So I chose I have puzzles that I just can recycle that I did maybe a few years ago, but I don't mind doing them again. It's not like I remember how all the pieces went together. So I did already actually grab a spring looking puzzle from storage to do, and I also watched the comedy show that I had written down in this category for February and saw that that same comedian has a bunch of other ones. And then, of course, there's other comedians too, as I was looking for that on Netflix. And I had a good time watching that comedy special, so I figured I should just write that down and find another one and maybe have that like as a staple each month. And I did have a game night this month in February with some friends, so we were talking about getting on a better schedule of doing that once a month, so I might even host here. So I have game night on there. And then I wrote down to get some replacement and new stickers for my planner, because that is a fun sort of creative project for myself, because I consider planning one of my hobbies, and so that's definitely on my fun list. For growth, healing, and resilience, I'm trying to work on, I've never been much of a meditator, but even if it's not like typical sitting and meditating and chanting Om or something like that, I just need to have some more times where I'm just getting that part of the nervous system to a quiet state where I'm breathing more intentionally, and I'm just so prone to anxiety and overwork. So I'm trying to make meditation something that is a part of my growth, healing, and resilience in that box. Also, I always do my journaling and introspection, so I have that written down. And then I have also been working on words of affirmation, and that's another thing. It's funny because I remember going through Simple Abundance in 2020, and it was right around the time that the pandemic started or officially started to shut things down in early March. So I do remember some of the videos I did around that time, and Sarah does encourage us in the Joyful Simplicities in her book in March to take your favorite affirmations and record them and then listen back to them. And I shared with you guys during this time in 2020 that I usually have some affirmation decks that I like to just go through. And so I'm more of a visual, say it out loud. I don't know that I would do so great hearing myself on tape, but I also do like to listen to recorded affirmations, and I had last month on there to listen to more Abraham Positive Rampages, and I did a lot of that in February, so that was good. For the rest, recover, and honor, it's similar to last month, but I also added the what do you like about yourself list, because that's one of the things in Simple Abundance, one of the entries from March, to sit down and contemplate what you like about yourself and actually write those things down. And that doesn't have to mean like physically, it doesn't have to just be personality wise, it can be a combination of both of those. So I think it's good to sit and do that as a part of your journaling. So have that there. I have my nightly 11 p.m. bedtime routine, and I'm allowing myself to sleep in one day if I'd like. I don't always end up sleeping in, but just that feeling of not setting the alarm one day. And then also, this is based on how this month went. I really was contemplating leaving my part-time job because I'm kind of to the point where I financially could, but I always like to have not only getting me out of the house and seeing other people versus working at home 100% of the time, but also just like that fallback income so that I know that my rent is paid. And because inevitably when you work for yourself, and especially with the kind of work that I do where I'm supporting other businesses, you just never know if something's going to change and all of a sudden you're going to lose a client. And so it's just kind of nice to have that backup. But I was really, in February, I've just been kind of dreading the part-time hours because it seems to be just like, I don't have time for this. And I'm so annoyed because I'm already like in a stressful mood, so then things there are just bugging me. And anyway, I'm going to contemplate it and see, and I really could probably put things down on paper, and there's perks to staying there, so maybe I would cut back. I mean, I've already cut back since I started there last year, but I could potentially cut back more and maybe even lose. I work on Saturdays, and that it's been since the beginning of the year. I've now had, like 8 Saturdays in a row that have just been very stressful, and not just only because I have a tendency to be stressed, but just because the business is thriving and it's doing better, and it's just the volume of business is just more than I'm comfortable handling by myself in one day. So I just have a pinpoint there to kind of see how I feel about it, see if I'm like on a plan to phase it out or cut back or change to different shifts or something like that. So that's on my list because I want to honor my feelings on it. That's why it's under the rest, recover, and honor. Because also, if I wasn't working there as much, hopefully I would get my work done at home, and then I could rest a little bit or have some time to just chill out and watch a show or something. For the wonder, exploration, and adventure, I really did like watching the show about a new place, and I also added the thing about the actually I didn't, I just put more nature shows later in the nature box, but last month I had said I would watch a show about a new place, and I would watch a show about a new animal, and I liked both of those. And what happens is, just like with the Celine Dion concert, then I end up going like, oh, I want to learn about this one now, and I watch another one. So I'm going to leave that on there. So one new place, another show about one new place. Also, I have drive down a new road or go a new way, because I was talking to somebody, and I've lived in the area that I live in now for, I think it's 13 years this year. Yeah. And there are roads that I've only gone to a certain point on, and then I always turn, on the intersection or something. And I was talking to somebody about this particular road near me, and she was saying that something was off of it. And I was like, well, where are you talking about? And it come to find out, I've driven this road so many times, but I've actually always gotten to one intersection and then turned on the crossroad. And I've never gone any further on that road, which is kind of like a major connecting road in our area. And so when she told me that it connected to something where it's like, I know how to get to that thing she mentioned in another way, I was like, I had no idea that road actually, like, if I kept going on it, that it would take me there. So that's why I wrote this down, because I thought you really should be kind of like, you should know where you live, and you should be able to kind of like know how roads are connected. For the most part, I do, but I think I always go the same way. So I just want to encourage myself to maybe like drive a different, like if I get to the intersection where I always turn, like maybe don't do that one day and just go across and see where the road goes. Because I'm not a GPS person, so I usually either plan for where I'm going, like with a map ahead of time, or I am going a way that I know in my head already from living here for a while. But obviously there are other ways to do that, and maybe if I did have GPS, it would have showed me another way. But so that's one of the things I have on there. And then because it's going to be getting into springtime, I just wrote down to be on the lookout for new animals that are maybe like back in the area or are coming out of hibernation. So that can be fun. And I think Sarah has that in her book, but not until April. But I figured I'd put it down early. For beauty and harmony, I just have, like, I've kind of been like lax about getting the flowers that I like to have on my counter. So I'd like to make sure that I have those, or even if it's like this time of year is like a big pussy willow time of year that I've mentioned that I like those. So maybe just getting some pussy willows and having those in a vase. That's like a nice springtime sort of thing. And also, this is the time of year in Sarah's book too that, and is a part of beauty, is kind of like thinking about what fits in your wardrobe and what doesn't, and maybe literally fits or doesn't fit. But I've told you guys before, I'm not a big shopper. I've had my same clothes for over a decade, in most cases, sometimes 2 decades. So it would be good to maybe just kind of look through and just update some stuff, maybe have a few nice spring tops. For nature, animals, and the earth, I mentioned that I had fun watching the nature shows, and I watched one specific one about baby animals. Oh, I can't even help it. I was talking to Annabelle, my kitty, going like, oh my God, he's so cute. Look at that lion. You know, like I couldn't help it. It was like I needed somebody here because it was so cute, some of the animals. And then, oops, I lost my spot. Oh, and then also like we will have some nice spring days. So it'll be like getting out and raking a little bit, picking up sticks and doing just some cleanup prior to spring for the yard. For silence, peace, and stillness, again, this goes along with the meditation that I had down here. It's like I want to have some more conscious time of silence, but I always seem to have music or a show or something going on in the background. So how about trying to work in silence one day, or even trying to drive in silence? I've had times before where I've been, you know, feeling down, and music like can make me feel worse in some ways, like if it's like a sad song or something. So I have driven in silence before. It's usually not a positive because I'm trying to avoid like feelings or something, but I think if I decided to drive in silence and just think, and just also maybe just look out the window and see what I see, again like with the nature and stuff, that would be positive. And then I mentioned breathing along with the meditation, so I still have work on breath work there. For gratitude, I did put up my gratitude sign that I shared with you guys, and it's right on a door that I see every morning, and I've been really good about thinking as I see it about things that I'm grateful for, at least 3 things. And then I've also noticed, and we've talked about this on the channel before, it's like once you start a gratitude practice of some kind, then you start to notice more things that you can be grateful for. So I did put on here too, notice other opportunities where I might be out somewhere and I just have a feeling of gratitude. And so sometimes I think, oh, I have to save that for my gratitude practice. But I can also, in those moments, just appreciate that gratitude. And it doesn't have to be like something that I save up so that I have 3 in the morning, because I'm not struggling right now to come up with 3 in the morning, which is a good thing. And then also continuing my TGIF activities, the trusting, grateful for, inspired to or by, and fun. So I do that on Fridays. Obviously, I can't do the unforgettable moments. I did not go through and look at the March holidays for the fun holidays, but I'm sure there are a lot of fun little March things that you can partake in, like ice cream day and stuff like that. I don't know what falls in March right now. I have not done the goals yet because I have not yet in the February goals gone through and haven't gone through and actually put down how I did, and it hasn't ended yet. But it is kind of along the same lines. I will have a YouTube goal. I've been working on my stretching, meal planning, posture, and then just overall well-being. So that'll be about the same, but I don't have those to share right now. And then I'm just going to go through my various weeks, and I will mention that, I have these weekly tabs that are on the top here that show me the weeks that are coming up. And so since they kind of went with March, I went with these lemon ones that I have. So you'll see the various lemon versions of it. So this is my regular weekly errands, groceries, and to get. And then I've been putting down here pending things I need to order. And then I have so many gift certificates. So being mindful of use a gift certificate. I just don't spend a lot of money, but using a gift certificate, maybe I should just choose one and go out and have a creative excursion and use my gift certificate. So there's the lemon one for that week. And again, I still have my weekly tasks, the business and work side, and the personal and home side. This is this current week coming up, so there's actually a couple of February days in here left for the end of the month. I've got my Bachelor Monday, my chorus rehearsals in there. Those are special Etsy stickers. I went crazy again with little things on the top of each page. So those are the Wednesday and Thursday of this week coming up. And then Friday, and then I have the weekends on one day. These are my weekly musings where I ask myself questions at the end of each week. And typically, I don't know if I hadn't written it here yet, but I usually do that on Sundays. That's usually a Sunday to do item. This will be the following week. Here's another version of those lemons. Looks like some peppermint maybe with them. A lot of things that you see at the store this time of year, like even some wreaths, sometimes they have lemons on them. So again, I had fun. In some cases, I tried to tie the pages together with similar looking themes, you know, like a certain flower. Sometimes they're totally different, but sometimes, you know, like there's the gold there and there's the gold there. So, hi. Sometimes I try to incorporate that. And you can see that I have some of the similar stickers with the letters and things that I have on the monthly view to remind me of certain things where I don't have to write the whole word out. Sometimes, hi kitty, sometimes I have things like, so I have cats up here, but then down here I have like rainbows and bright, and sometimes it doesn't go together. I just have fun with this. Again, like I put some of my new bird stickers here. We have daylight savings, remember, if you are in a zone that changes. There's the next week's weekly musings. There's another view of the lemons. The weekly task list. And this is the following week. So you can see there's a lot of things that are the same. Like, that's why I really like having these stickers that I can just slap on. And like I mentioned, like certain meetings with clients, it's nice to have those and just put the time. Sometimes the blocks that I use will have motivational things in them, and other times they'll just be a design. I went a little nuts on this page. I don't know. I wanted to have St. Patrick's Day, but then I also, I don't know. Sometimes I go crazy. And then my dad's visiting, so I got that. Another weekly musings. More lemons. There's the first day of spring sticker that I had. It would have been too big for the monthly spread. Oh, I didn't put a stretch time here on Tuesday. I'll have to add that. Try to do my stretches on Tuesday and Thursday. I put it on Thursday. I don't know. I guess I just forgot. And right now there's not a ton of things yet on these to-do lists because as the weeks go on, then sometimes things carry over from a week before. So I just kind of have the basics of things that I know that happen every day or that I need to do. And weekly musings again. I must be getting to the end of the month here, right? There's more slices of lemons. Yes, I know. This is my dad's birthday this month too. I have some nice feather stickers in that bird pad that I showed you guys last time. I like feathers. And then here's the beginning of April. So just like with February having a day or two that lopped over into the other month, there's that. And then we have the weekly musings, and then we should have, if I didn't, yeah, I did put them in here. And then I have the monthly reflections. I don't know if I have said these things to you guys. I don't think I said them last month, so I'll just read the monthly reflections. What are you most proud of at the end of this month? What could have gone better this month? How motivated were you overall? How stressed or anxious did you get? How has life improved? What did you notice a lot of? Where are you now in terms of your goals? What habits and routines worked well this month? What positive thoughts, mantras, or affirmations are you focusing on? What did you watch, listen to, and dream about? What was the most significant thing that happened this month? And what do you hope to implement going forward? So when I do my weekly and monthly reflections, those are just times that I sit and contemplate. That's the last of the lemon pages too. And I have a brain dump page here too. So I did finally just change my business name. So I'm just going through all the places that I have to change it now. But so that's a look at my month of March. I hope you enjoyed that little flip through. And I hope you say hello and let me know what you're doing and what you might have planned for the month of March. And I will see you on the next video. Thanks again for being here. Take care.